Have you ever wondered why Vietnam writes in Latin letters, while China still uses thousands of complex characters? These two cultures share deep historical roots, yet they made completely different choices when it came to writing systems. The answer reveals a lot about colonization, culture, and national identity. Let's start with the basics. For centuries, Vietnam used classical Chinese characters, called Chu Han, in official texts, philosophy, and literature. Later, they developed their own variation called Chu Nom, which adapted Chinese characters to write native Vietnamese words. But here's the problem. Both systems were incredibly difficult to learn. Literacy was limited to scholars and the elite. Everyday people had little access to reading or writing. Enter the Latin alphabet. In the 17th century, European missionaries, especially Portuguese and French Jesuits, created a new script for Vietnamese using Latin letters. This system, known as Quoc Ngu, meaning national language, was easier to learn and better suited to the tones of the Vietnamese language. At first, it was just used for religious teaching, but then came colonization. During French colonial rule in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the French government promoted Quoc Ngu in schools and administration. Why? Because it helped separate Vietnamese culture from Chinese influence and made communication easier for the colonial government. After independence, Vietnamese leaders faced a decision: return to the traditional system or embrace the Latin one? They chose to move forward, and that decision paid off. With Quoc Ngu, literacy rates soared. Education expanded, printing and communication became cheaper and more efficient. Today, Vietnam is one of the few Asian countries that use a fully Latin-based writing system for a tonal language. Now, why didn't China follow a similar path? Well, China was never colonized in the same way Vietnam was. While Western powers had influence in certain areas, China retained more control over its cultural and political systems. There was no colonial authority pushing to replace characters with Latin letters. More importantly, Chinese leaders saw their writing system as a core part of national identity. Chinese characters had held their civilization together for thousands of years. Changing that would mean rewriting history, literally. Also, here's a technical point. The Chinese language has thousands of homophones, words that sound the same but have different meanings. Writing them all in letters would create endless confusion. Characters solve that problem because each one is visually distinct, even if it sounds the same. Instead of replacing their script, China modernized it. In the 1950s, the government introduced simplified Chinese to boost literacy. At the same time, they developed Pinyin, a romanized system used for pronunciation and typing. It helps people learn and use the language, but doesn't replace the characters themselves. So, Vietnam adopted Latin letters due to colonial influence, practicality, and a push for widespread literacy. China kept its characters to preserve unity, meaning, and cultural identity. Two countries, two paths, each shaped by history, politics, and vision for the future. If you love exploring how language shapes culture and identity, hit that subscribe button. There's a whole world of stories like this, and we're just getting started. See you in the next video.